Hello and welcome to another cool new video, and today I want to tell you how much I love humanity. Now, in this time of great divide, in this time of hating each other, being more accepted than loving each other, I just want to tell you I love people. And this is coming from an introvert. This got nothing to do with loving to talk to people. This got nothing to do with loving to interact with people. Because let me tell you something, it makes me shit myself. I just want to say, humanity, kind of tight. And let's drop all the pretense. I want to be absolutely honest in this video. I, as a human, have a little bit of a bias towards humanity. Everyone's got their bias towards humanity, but, you know, some people like to take a negative bias against it because of the experiences they've had, and frankly, mine haven't been great either. Before you call me a privileged white dude and say, you know, your experiences were clearly privileged and white dudes, no, they weren't. But they've certainly taught me that not every human is beautiful. They've also taught me that the majority of humans may not be as beautiful as I make them out to be in today's video, but frankly, I'm not talking about every single human. I'm talking about humanity, and there's a very distinct difference between humans and humanity. Humanity, full of humans. The thought of humanity, the thought of a united species, the thought of a species that conquered the entirety of a planet, made breakthroughs in science, invented science in itself, and ultimately managed to go so far into a species stage where we actively send people into outer space. Now that is an achievement. That is what humanity should all be about. When I look at the globe, I don't really see all that much except a bunch of goddamn land. A bunch of goddamn land humanity resides on. But for some reason, the humans living on this piece of land really want to draw lines on this piece of land. And I'm gonna be honest, I never understood it personally. Sure, we got things like nationalism and pride and stuff, but I don't get it. You know, I look at a human and I'm like that guy. And meanwhile, we got other humans over there saying, well, I may share species with that guy, but that guy is beneath me. And I'm like, I don't get it. I appreciate the difference in humanity. Sure, we may be one species, but that doesn't mean we're all the same. In fact, the beauty about humanity is its individualism. See, every single human has their individual brain. It's not a hive mind of some sort. We are all our own people. We all have our own opinions. We all have our own thought processes. Despite how much people want to make us, go into groups, every single one of us is an individual that can think for themselves, even if it sometimes doesn't feel like it. And multiple individuals can form a group. And I'm using group in the most loose term imaginable, because groups can be literally anything. Online chat groups, or the people you grew up with in your hometown. A group of people, of individualists that kind of feel the same because they have experienced the same things, are deeply interesting to me. Humanity is deeply interesting to me because even our speech, one thing that should be, united among at least all of the people that speak it, is different. Certain groups have their own linguistical habits, and these are very interesting things. And the internet, the advent of the internet, actually, caused that a bunch more people have these linguistic effects. People that are on the internet more have developed something such as a Reddit accent, which I have been accused of having multiple times, which is not cool, but, I guess I have it. Where people use terms that they learned on the internet. That same thing happens within small groups. But that same thing also happens as individuals, because me, myself, and I have picked up some linguistical fancy things, I would say. Linguistical oddities can be things such as a pop culture reference from a group of friends that have known this piece of pop culture. For example, me, as an individual basis, not a group basis, I love to quote this one video and one single moment of Killian Experience where he just said, "Otewe, what the fuck is in Otewe?" And literally every single human has these kinds of things. There is not a single human that is entirely the same to you. You may think that your single thoughts are completely insignificant, but in the grand scheme of things, everyone is insignificant, so who gives a shit? I may be a cog in the machine of humanity, but I'm gonna be one funky cog. Just because I'm a cog in the machine don't mean I can't be a cool cog. Woo! I am not neurotypical. But we can't talk about humanity without talking about humanity's faults. Because here's the thing. Something as fictitious as a perfect human being has never in our entire history existed. Because perfection and humanity cannot go one with another. It is our faults that make us human, after all. And that extends to basically every part of humanity, especially humanity's history. We have made great scientific advances, such as malaria prevention, cholera prevention, but then you realize that these advances in technology were made through slavery, labor that was forced, and colonization, which is not great. Some of our greatest technological advances were made expressly to kill other people. However, what I still love about all of this, sure, violence, bad, senseless. Why are we still killing each other in the year of our Lord 2025? Is it because some dictators feel like their balls are a little too small for the day and so they invade some sovereign nation in the goddamn Middle East or in the goddamn, outskirts of Europe? Yeah, maybe. Maybe the hairline recessing hit Putin a little too hard, it's understandable. But the sum of humanity was never the actions of a singular human. The sum of humanity was never the actions of a single government. The sum of humanity will always have a will. A will that can be bad, but a will nonetheless. It is fascinating to me. I love that even though we as individuals have all of these differences, all of these little changes and some of these big changes among each other, we still have a united front sometimes. People still unite against a common foe for a common cause. I love that. I love humanity. I have to be honest. We can wax poetic about how bad the world is right now, how everything is going downhill, but the fact of the matter is, right now is probably the best we've ever been for 2,000 years of humanity. We have advanced medicine off the backs of forced labor and colonialism. But we still have it. We have freedom of thought and freedom of expression. And even though some people and forces in the governments are trying to take that away from a lot of people right now, the fact of the matter is, we as individuals, even if our thoughts are limited or are trying to be limited because of bans, doesn't mean we don't think them. We will always have the place to think. You cannot law away the capacity of a human to think. You also cannot cage away the capacity for a human to communicate his thoughts. So no matter what big government does to you, you can always just speak to people. You can always freely think, because what are they gonna do? Read your mind? We're not at that stage yet. The prospect of humanity fascinates me so much, and I love humanity as a concept so much because of what we can achieve when we are truly united. But sometimes people like to unite in their hatred for other people, and I don't get it. I don't. I truly and honestly do not understand where you're coming from. But again, I guess I'm just the wrong guy to try to understand. There is always someone smarter than me that understands why people act the way they do. I can't say that I am a smart person, but I can say that I am hopeful. Hopeful that other people see this as it is. Humanity, when united, is stronger than the sum of its parts, but the sum of its parts are still important. The sum of its parts can form groups. Groups can hate other groups, but at the end of the day, the groups still go up to humanity. Because at the end of the day, we are all human. Despite what some may say, we are individuals. We join groups of culture, of friends, of everything. But at the end of the day, the biggest group we've all joined at the beginning of our existence is the group of humanity. And because we are humans, it is that we think. And because we think, we are individuals. And because we are individuals, we can form groups, we can find faults, we can work on our own faults, we can have our own faults. I love humanity because, frankly, despite of our faults, despite of everyone being down about everything nowadays, we persist, and we have persisted for thousands upon thousands of years. Humanity as a species may be young, but fucking hell, I love them. Call me a globalist, but I think murder is bad. I want to see as many individuals as possible. I want to talk to as many individuals as possible. And I'm saying this as someone with probably severe anxiety. I didn't get tested yet. I want to see, I want to experience, I want to see everything, I want to experience everything. I literally cannot contain my excitement about the prospect of meeting new people, seeing their thoughts, having conversations with them about their thoughts. I love that shit, but a lot of people don't. Not wanting to talk about your feelings, not wanting to talk about your thought processes, it's understandable. It's part of the design. It's part of what makes us human, our individual opinion about a certain thing. But I'm mainly making this video to have you realize that at the core of it all, despite all of our differences as individuals, despite all of the group differences, despite all of the nice things we can learn about each other, at the end of the day, whether it be for a divine purpose, whether God created a man and pulled out his rib to make a woman, whether it was all started in Africa when a bastard decided to go on land, we share humanity. So perhaps it's time that we use humanity. See, humanity is our species name, but it's also a trait an individual can have. To show compassion is to show humanity. To show empathy, understanding, to feel for the person in front of you is humanity. So I both love the species of humanity and the notion of humanity. Just be kind. Just smile at someone. Frankly, it's helped me a lot, and I think it can help you too. And naturally, this does conclude us with a simple truth. And that truth is, my dear fellow, my fit goes absolutely goddamn hard! Cue the clown!